Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and we are brought to you by Turfs Up Radio. Thank you, Turfs Up Radio. Today I have a special guest, Nick Carlson from Dawson Manufacturing, home of the Mulchmate. Welcome, Nick.
Well said. Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Well, I wanted to get that right. I didn't want to say you're from Mulchmate because,
Yep.
what you have on the website and emails and stuff like that. Wanted to get it just right. So
That's right.
yeah, thanks for being on the show today. I'm excited to, get into why you started Mulchmate in the first place. So, do you want to give us some of your background and what got you to that point?
Sure, sure. So, just kind of going back, I started a landscape company when I was 15 years old. It was called Laser Cut, and the reason I called it Laser Cut was because I wanted to develop a lawnmower that would cut with lasers. As crazy as that may have sounded at 15 years old, and after I explained kind of where I am now, you'll kind of all that will make sense. And I wanted to kind of put it out there, so it's a little hook for you. But started cutting grass at a young age, like a lot of people do, and I was actually scooping ice cream before that, and I hated it. So we started cutting grass, and then it morphed into landscaping, hardscaping, and low voltage lighting, and irrigation, and stormwater management, and all that. And I grew that company to a multi-million-dollar company by the time I was 30 years old, and so I guess over a 15-year period. And then one
Awesome.
day I had an issue with an employee. Again, another hook for you. I can tell that story in a little bit, but had this employee named Jose that him and I didn't see eye to eye on one thing. And I went home that day and said, I don't ever want someone to ever strangle me in my business like that ever again. So I'm going to go to work at figuring out a way to automate more. And so fast forward
Hmm.
to today, I own Dawson Manufacturing. We've got over a dozen utility patents in my name, which is the Mac Daddy of all utility patents. And they're 20-year patents. So that's pretty incredible. Um, and we make very extremely innovative equipment for the landscaping industry. Currently, there's some other ideas I have, and we sell all over the world.
Wow. That's a quick
So
story and pretty impressive.
thank you, thank you. I work really hard on my credentials. I take them very seriously.
Well, okay, so what about our audience that don't know what the Mulchmate is? Do you want to, because that's your first
Yeah,
product, is that right?
yeah. So kind of jumping in the product. So Mulchmate was the product I developed to replace Jose. Jose, basically what had happened was I was on a job site with one of my guys, and Jose was in the back of one of my big F550 landscape body trucks, and he was shoveling mulch down into wheelbarrows on the ground. And guys would come over, and we had like two wheelbarrows per person. So one wheelbarrow would go, one wheelbarrow would stay. He would fill it up, and then somebody else would come and take it away. Well, what I had learned was that was creating a lot of poison because when my guys were out spreading the mulch, Jose was sitting in the truck and he's on his phone and he's talking to his girlfriend or he's on TikTok, or well, back then it was no TikTok, but you know what I mean. He's just
Yeah.
doing nothing, and it was really getting a lot of the guys frustrated. And so I had started to listen to these guys, and I brought it to the attention of Jose. I said, "Hey, man, I think it's probably best to get you out of the truck and have you running these wheelbarrows." And he got really upset because, of course, he doesn't want to have to work any harder than he has to. And so that's how all that happened. Now my guys came and said, "Hey, Nick, it's no problem. We'll just lift the bed up a little bit and we'll shovel, down in the wheelbarrows, or we'll close the doors, we'll dump it against the doors and reopen them and all this jazz." And I'm like, guys, that is like the most barbaric. Like, granted, yes, is it better than the other way? Sure, but it's still extremely, extremely barbaric. And I sat him down and said, "Man, there's got to be a better way." And I know I'm not the only person to ever say that in my lifetime. There's all kinds of things in this world that somebody had to sit down and say, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
And so Mulchmate, basically what it did is it replaced Jose. And what it does is, without dumping the truck, we can pull material to the back of the truck, process mulch, rock, sand, dirt, compost, whatever, and it will fill those wheelbarrows for you or throw it onto the ground like in islands or whatever with a press of a button, all electrically,
Hmm.
zero emissions, zero noise. It's the fastest material processing system in the world. It's actually, fun fact, As of yesterday, I have placed an order for some different motors for the Mulchmate for the Gen 9 Mulchmates, and the machine's going to get even faster.
Oh, wow.
So,
And did you
so
say it unloads a whole load in 45 minutes? Is that what,
no,
or
so most landscape body trucks on average are 12 foot long, 3.5 to 4 foot tall, and they typically hold anywhere between 10 and 13 yards of material. Let's say
okay.
mulch in this case. It can process all that material in under 4 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Okay. I
yes,
guess I remember you saying something like unloading, but that was maybe into wheelbarrows in 45 minutes. Is that
yes. Yeah, so
okay?
like anybody that's listening, the if you're in the landscape industry and you want to know, so I'm a very special individual for this one reason. I have I can speak contractor, right? I can speak the landscape contractor lingo, but now stepping in the shoes I'm in now, I sell to billion-dollar companies, and I said that with a B. And then I also deal with 70-year-old men that do it on the side, and I also deal with $500,000 companies a year, 10 million, 50 million, 500 million. And so I have all these conversations. I have a lot of this really awesome data. And so what happens is they have this thing, they call it the golden hour. And what it is, it's one guy shoveling 1 yard of mulch, traveling 60 feet, dumping it and spreading it. And that's the matrix that everybody typically that is in a big company that's doing $10 million or more, when they start really fine tuning what they're doing, they they shoot for that number. Now, remember, that's the goal number. That's like the pinnacle. That's first place. That's not second place. That's what they're looking for. So my point to this is that we sold to a company called Rupert. Rupert bought, I think, 4 or 5 of our Mulchmates to start just to test it. And they were to say they were skeptical was an understatement. Now, I, on the other hand, have all the data. They don't. So I understand their skepticism, but I know what it can do. I've seen it over and over on all kinds of different levels, and I know what it can do. So they get the machines in their hands, and they said, we want to hit 1.5 yards an hour. Now that may not seem a lot until you understand one simple thing. That is a 50% increase in production.
Oh, wow.
50%. So
Okay.
I don't know anything that can move the needle that much. And I asked the guy, I'm not going to use his name, but the gentleman that we were dealing with over at Rupert, I said, are you insane? You're telling me that you want to move the needle 50%. And he goes, yeah, or it doesn't work for us. Now in the back of my head, I'm going, I'm going to blow the doors off of your 50%. I just know. I know the data. So fast forward. Now keep in mind, they don't ever hit 1 yard an hour, ever. They typically hit 0.7, 0.8 on average because humans get tired, right?
Yeah.
So Mulchmate doesn't get tired, it doesn't sweat, it doesn't require water, it doesn't require anything, just electricity, which the
Yeah.
truck produces for the Mulchmate. So it's perfect. Um, so fast forward, I think 2 or 3 months worth of data come in. They do the numbers, and they hit on average between 1.8 and 2.2 yards an hour.
Oh my goodness. So,
So
yeah.
it's it,
So
it,
they're placing
if
more
I have a
orders.
well, I hope now they're going. They just did so they did acquisitions. They bought 3 different companies, and that's tying up a lot of the resources and time. So I'm sure they're
Okay.
gonna be buying more, just not today.
Yeah.
So it's smart. I get it. I've sold a company. I know how that whole process works. But the point is that they saw, and keep in mind, that's their maiden voyage with a brand new product that they don't know. So they
Hmm.
haven't worked all the kinks out of it. So in my opinion, because I have the data, there's a possibility they could hit 2.5, 2.6, maybe even 2.8.
Wow.
That's what is that? That's 180% increase in production.
That
That's
it's a step change, like you said.
yes.
It's not well, and I do think, sometimes in our industry, how fast can you do it? How many times have you heard that? How fast can we get this done?
Yep.
Trying to make more money by doing things faster. And I think that, um, you know, you can only go so fast as humans, that need to not hurt themselves and not, suffer. we
Yeah.
do need to encourage people into the industry. So by making it less challenging on people's bodies, then they can still have a life outside of work.
Yep.
And if you can raise your productivity by that much by using the mulchmate, that is significant.
It is. And so, okay, do you mind if I give you my perspective on this?
Yes,
So,
please.
so it's speed is a byproduct of preparation. So
Okay.
I'll give you a great, for instance. Right now, I'm on my way up to our trailer manufacturer, Belmont. I've already picked up a trailer, brought it back to our shop because somebody paid extra to pick it up at our facility, so we can do a tour of the facility, and then I can do full training. It's an option you can buy when you buy one of our pieces of equipment. So I'm up here this morning and I'm picking up a trailer and I'm looking at all the different trailers that are sitting there that people have purchased that are waiting for shipment or waiting for pickup or waiting for us to pick it up or whatever the case may be. And some of the trailers have a hydraulic jack and some of them don't. Some of them like a crank style. Some have spare tires, some don't. And when I look at that, what I'm seeing is
Mm.
I can see somebody's brain is looking at the production of mulchmate, but what they're not doing is they're not looking at the experience that the staff member, the teammate, is going to have while cooperating with this DMT mulchmate trailer. Right? They're just
Yeah.
going, okay, we just want the efficiency out of mulchmate. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. The reality of it is that you can't get speed out of a human unless you take care of them. You have to you have
Mm-hmm.
to cultivate and nurture that cohesive process and procedure that you put in place in front of them. I know every day that if I have to come to work and have to crank this stupid trailer jack, that's going to frustrate me. And what I call that personally is I call that poison. This poison then
Mm.
infects the entire day. It infects, imagine this. This is such a stupid way of looking at it, but most people don't think of it this way. Crank, crank. You're sitting there cranking away, right? And you're trying to get this trailer connected to the truck. And you've sat there and you've backed the truck up to the trailer 13 different times. And it's very frustrating. And you can't get it right. And you finally get back there. You finally get the trailer connected. And you're like, woohoo, look at me go. But the problem is the guy that's driving the trailer is typically not the one hooking the or driving the truck is typically not the one driving is hooking up the trailer. So the guy that hooks the trailer up is now frustrated, gets in the truck, and he just goes, Jesus, that was a pain in the butt, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you could spend a couple dollars, you could just hit a button and it goes, and it's on and it's done. And what that does is instead of creating frustration because you're cheap and you don't want to buy that little extra option,
Mm-hmm.
if you did spend the money, you could simply create a positive reaction from somebody, and then that amplifies later into something else. And then
And that's hard to
also,
measure.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can't measure it, and no one talks about that. Everybody talks about speed and efficiency and all this and that, and it's like, hold on, you don't realize you're losing the efficiency because of the mental state that your crew member is at because they have to crank the handle. Yeah, you gave them a mulchmate, but there's other things that are frustrating them. Or okay, this is where my landscape business changed forever. Is when I stopped being cheap and stopped buying old used trucks. When I
Uh,
started buying new trucks, I took the monthly payment and instead of using the money to fix a truck every couple weeks or paying somebody to tow a truck because it broke down, I just took all that money, put it into a monthly payment, and then my guys every day would come to work and they were more proud to drive the truck. They were more incentivized to keep it clean. They showed up to a job site that
mm,
looked more professional. They had better attitudes throughout the day because they weren't just driving this hunk of junk, rusted out truck everywhere.
yeah.
So it's more than just profit, speed,
Well, it
efficiencies.
you could probably say that it starts to build a different culture too. Where
Yes.
they feel like, you've gone above and beyond to take care of your employees. So they're not in the bed of a truck trying to, down in Florida, maybe in the 100 and something degrees temperature, trying to offload a truck by hand.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm really glad you're perfect segue into what I wanted to say. So you
Oh, I
just
didn't
mentioned
mean
Florida.
to. No.
Well, you nailed it. So great minds think alike here. So here's the deal. Down in Florida, the most common truck bodies are aluminum bodies. This has been this way for, gosh, I don't know, a decade or two, maybe longer. Here's the problem with aluminum. They use aluminum because they don't deal with as harsh of landscape materials as northern landscape companies do.
Okay.
So they can get away with a softer material. It's lighter, so they
They get better
increase their
gas mileage or
yes, and it
and
doesn't rust away. All that.
okay.
Here's the problem. So in the state of Florida, they do a lot of top dressing and they do a lot of mulching. It's just a lot down there, lots of landscaping. Here's the issue. Have you ever seen back in the day people on the beach and they've got the tin or the like the mirrors around their head getting a suntan?
Yeah, okay.
So what people don't realize when they buy aluminum truck is that when they're standing in the back of an aluminum truck versus a black powder coated truck, it is far brighter and far hotter because of the reflection of the sun against the aluminum.
Ah, so you're
So
sunburning your employees as well and
you're
dehydrating them.
yes, yes. I call it heat soaking.
Okay. Yeah.
So so people I understand everybody's after efficiency and I understand they're after speed and I understand they're after capacity, but they're missing very important key factors that they need to consider when they're purchasing this equipment. Um, they're where they gain efficiency, they increase in liability, and liability is something that can get out of hand fast. And insurance
Mm.
companies are getting very, very smart when it comes to all this kind of stuff. So, anybody that's listening, be very mindful of all this data. I'm trying to give you all the insight that I've collected over all these years in
Mm.
this one specific spot in our industry. It's a big deal and it's a game changer.
Well, and the other thing, not even going as far as insurance, but also employee satisfaction. Our industry does have a high turnover rate for employees. And um, I think it's really hard to put a figure on that, but it's always going to be a lot more cost to have high turnover than you could ever calculate. It's the time that everybody around that new
Oh,
employee
absolutely,
takes to,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So okay, like I know that my turnover rate was very, very high back when I used to just fix my old junky trucks. When I switched that mentality and said, no, 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 I am going to have all new trucks, my employee turnover rate was cut in half.
Wow.
So you've got to keep in mind that the restaurant down the street is going to pay probably as much as a landscape company is going to pay. So what is the actual incentive of somebody coming to work for you and working really hard? Lean on making doors forever because we all age out. Like the one guaranteed thing in this world is death, right? Like that's a one
And
guaranteed thing.
taxes. Yeah.
So, yeah, and taxes, yeah. So don't you don't you don't you don't want to create an environment to where here's what I say to people: no teammate is ever going to um, think about the business like you do as the business owner. If you're listening to this as an owner, a manager's not going to, the workers aren't going to. So you have to basically create and lay out a daily life and routine for them that they can manage and understand, and that they can actually hang on to and stay consistent with. So then they can match the matrices you've laid out to be profitable for yourself and for them. Correct. And that all comes
Mm.
in a form of communication with them. Like I'm always spending a lot of time with my crews, and I'm like, guys, this is what we're doing. We're selling this. A lot of business owners don't like to share their numbers with their people. I share all my numbers with all my people. Now,
Mm.
do I create a little bit of backlash with that? Yes, I probably do, but I much rather have that backlash than spend time having to constantly replace people. Because when I'm replacing people, I'm inviting mistakes in, which then is going to hurt my customers,
Your
right?
reputation. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
that. So you have to keep that in mind when you're paying people. What's it worth to keep them and then train them properly and get them into your system and then incentivize them to grow with you, or at least, if nothing else, survive with you in that environment. Because some people, they just don't want to do anything other than string trim or push a wheelbarrow. They just don't want the responsibility. I get that, but their expenses are going to go up. It's just the way the world works. So you have to basically let them know, hey, I understand this, and I'm going to make sure I take care of you as the company grows, and as we grow, we're going to. This is a team. Notice I haven't said employee in this interview, right? In this
Mm,
podcast,
yeah.
because to me, calling someone an employee is almost like a negative. To me,
Okay.
that puts a number on them, and I'd rather call them crew, teammates, team, members, crew. All that makes them feel like they're a part of something, right? It's more than just business, because
Yeah.
quite frank, anybody can go out. Like, this is my thing with almost any business. I just told this to my trailer manufacturer Belmont this morning when I had my big meeting with them for 2024. I said, guys, no offense, I can go buy welders, I can go buy steel, I can cut it up, I can make a trailer. There's a million trailer manufacturers in this world. What you're building isn't a trailer. What you're building is a culture around a product that people can trust.
Mm,
That's what we're building. It's like Mulchmate. Listen, it's a bunch of metal, bunch of bolts. It all goes together and it goes out the door. That's not what I sell. What I sell is implementation. I sell experience. I sell more profit in your business. I'm selling a thing that can give you a better life and give all your people a better life, make it safer. And at the end of the day, half my business isn't even about the product. It's about the customer support. It's about, the knowledge when you call in. It's about accessibility. All those things play a huge factor. And that's just business. Anybody can go buy a lawnmower. Anybody can go buy a skid steer. That's not
mm,
that's not what this is about. This is about people, whether it's the people in the business or it's about the people that we're taking care of, our customers, right? Whether it's
yeah.
you landscaper that's listening, you're taking care of your customers, or it's you because you're my customer. And that to me is what all of this is about.
Well, and I have to say, part of we did an article on some of the owners of your Mulchmate trailers in Florida recently in the fall issue of Synked. And it became a much bigger, fuller story than I expected it to be. Because, I talked to you about it and I was like, I want to interview people that use your products. And great, here's a list of names. Um, it became like a better way of working for companies that are maintaining turfed areas, maintaining landscapes, because the Mulchmate, and I, might not phrase this quite right, but the Mulchmate allowed them to use a product to top dress and do it so efficiently that many of the businesses have narrowed their scope of work just to do that, because it's a more sustainable way of growing plants and turf. It's less hard on all of the people involved, um, and it's working as a system better and more sustainably, more environmentally sensitive to the landscapes in Florida, which had banned synthetic fertilizer use during the summer. So, and I thought, oh my goodness, I wanted to just get testimonials from these business
Yeah.
owners, and it became a reduction just by doing this with the Mulchmate, with Life Soils, with these business owners. They're now saying that they can reduce water consumption for irrigating the landscape. So again,
Yeah.
a win in so many different ways. So I guess, and I've always thought that, what you're doing is fantastic, especially whenever we do have an industry that suffers from turnover or hard working conditions and maybe low pay compared to, you mentioned restaurants. We're competing with lots of industries, um, for the labor levels, and you know we could pay better if we had better systems that gave more value more efficiently. And
Yeah.
I think, what you said was about you can't work people harder and faster, but what you can do is give them tools to make a step change. And I think, you know, we've been through the ringer with COVID and and now coming back to reality after COVID. Um, I do feel like it's a really important time for business owners to do their homework on, making step changes, because I think that
Oh yeah.
the industry is at a prime time. I I did a podcast with Jeffrey Scott recently, and I said, what's a message for the next year? And he said, the gold rush is over. you
Yeah.
know, COVID was a bit of a false sense of security, maybe. And we're coming off of that hump, if you like. But um, it's a great time to look at things from a different angle. And I think that, you know, it, you starting in the industry and building something to replace Jose, poor Jose. I know, does he know
Sorry.
we're talking about him like this?
I, I have no idea. I have no idea.
But again, it's step changes that we need. Because like you said, costs are going to go up. But the Mulchmate isn't the only thing that you have now. So when did you first put out the Mulchmate? How long has it been?
It's been, I want to say it's been 5 years, 6 years. I
Okay.
I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's just been, well, as you said, like the COVID thing really wrecked my internal clock in my head.
Oh, I think it did for everybody though. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like before
yeah,
COVID and after COVID is all I can say.
yeah. So okay, like if you don't mind, I want to jump into a little bit of like what you were just talking about real quick before we move on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They said the gold rush is over, right? Well, they're completely correct. It is, but what is the one thing that never stops, right? And it's maintenance. And
Mhm.
I don't care what companies go out of business. I don't care what companies, come into business. I don't care what companies get bigger or smaller. The same amount of work is there, and actually it's growing. So like,
Mhm.
very simple question. Florida and Texas, have they grown or have they shrunk? Right? They're growing at an exponential rate. And this growth means more landscaping. It means more top dressing. It means more mulch moving and grass cutting and all this other stuff, right? And so what you've got to understand is that if you're a good business person, not a landscaper, if you're a good business person, you're going to be able to capitalize on other landscapers' weaknesses. So I'm trying to drive this point home. Not trying
Yeah.
to bust anybody up, but if you can get smart and you can deliver the best product and create the best customer service in your area and be able to deliver on that quicker than anybody else, um, using a Mulchmate, right, or one of our other products because it is the fastest in the world, um, you're going to grow exponentially because the maintenance is not going to go away. The whole reason that I developed the Mulchmate and not one of my other ideas was because I wholeheartedly believe in maintenance. Maintenance is there. It's I know commercial contracts right now that are spending money like wildfire because they already had it built into the budget, for years now. Where a lot of these residential, the residential gold rush, everybody wanting patios and pools and all this and stuff, that's gone, right? You,
Yeah.
you just said it. That's gone. But the maintenance side is not going anywhere.
No.
So you got to be able to capitalize on that, and that's a big thing. It's a big thing.
Hmm. Fantastic.
So okay, the other stuff that we do. So my entire my entire being is about automation and using what you already have. That's been our mantra from day one. And I'll give you a good for instance. So the mulch mate that you see, whether it's on a landscape body truck or if it's on our DMT trailer or if it's on a switch and go or if it's on a hook lift, all the mulch mates are the same. There's one model mulch mate. It's a DS1000 and that is it. Will there be another model in the future? Yes, it's going to be bigger and stronger and, the newest, greatest thing. But we don't have like this big lineup of all these different machines and all. We try to keep it simple, and we want to focus all of our resources on making what we do the absolute best it can be and not spread ourselves out super thin. So, want to clarify that. Now, once you're past the mulch main, you go, okay, well, what's next? What I always say is what sucks, right? And the next thing in line for me was I couldn't stand wheelbarrowing. It drove me insane. And so after doing about a year of trade shows and collecting data from all these different people, I had a customer and he's like, yeah, I towed this little trailer behind my ATV. I got it off of Northern Tools, like, I don't know, $1,600 big 2-axle trailer thing. He goes, I back it up underneath the mulch main. I fill that sucker up in 10 seconds because it's massive. And I think he held over a yard of mulch in this thing. He goes, I drive around, I pitchfork it into all the beds, and off we go. He's got that southern accent.
Good job.
And
Yeah.
he did get that twang. And he's telling me all this, and I'm like, Eddie, that's brilliant. And I said, what sucks about it? And he goes, I can't stand backing it up underneath the mulch mate. It's difficult. And I'm like, got it. I know what to do. So I sat there and thought about it for probably 2 or 3 months. And I said, what if here is again, I'm a crazy man. What if you could put the cart in front of the horse? And so I literally took that saying and I put, basically what I did was I took the carts that everybody tows. Now, landscapers don't tow it because it's obnoxiously difficult and it's not maneuverable for like zero turns. You can't zero turn a towing trailer. So what I did was I put the cart in front of the mower and I restructured the frame to be able to withstand, commercial abuse. It's normal abuse. It's a rough job. So we developed the CartMate Pro and we took it to Kentucky. I want to say this was the year before COVID. So it was at 19.
19.
And we released it. There's actually, you can YouTube videos. If you just YouTube like CartMate unveil, you'll see the unveil of this. It's hysterical. I unveiled it and I thought, oh my God, these people are going to laugh me out of the building. This is gonna be the thing where everybody goes, this dude's nuts, and not in a good way, not in a good way. So I look at my father and he's like, go do it. So I yell at everybody's like, hey, we're going to unveil another product, and I pull the curtain off, and the CartMate stood straight up in the air. And when it's up in the air, that's transport mode, so it doesn't take up any extra room on your trailer.
Oh.
So I pull it out. I have one of my guys pull it out and I drop it down, and I hear everybody go, oh, like you could tell they understood what I did. And there's nothing in the world like it. And I debut it and it sells like wildfire. Now, here's the problem. Well, not everything I developed. The Mulchmate and the Cartmate line, the problem that I have with it is that it's completely reinventing everything we've ever known. Okay. And I'll get to that in a second. And this will make a lot more sense. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure.
So I bring the CartMate out and everybody's like, I just don't understand it, right? And they get it, but it's priced higher than they're used to. They're comparing it to a wheelbarrow, and it's just not comparable to a wheelbarrow. And how I figured this out was we developed a product called the Snowmate. And what the Snowmate is, it's a plow that's sidewalk focused for snow, that fits any commercial mower. That's what it is. It's only 36 inches wide. You can widen it to 52 inches. But when we do these trade shows, that stupid plow gets all the attention. All the attention. And I'm like, why? Why? I don't understand this. So I've been studying it, and I finally came to the realization. What it is that all these business owners and landscapers, they know what a plow is. They know what it does. They see it on the front of a mower, and it makes complete sense. What CartMate and Mulchmate struggles with is it completely makes them think outside the box, and they go, I don't get it. They kind of try to combat it, and they're like, oh, a tractor can do it easier and this and that. And the fact is, it just doesn't. I've done the test. I've run all the numbers, and it's far, far faster than anything else in the world. So when we developed the CartMate, it was basically you've sped up getting the material out of the truck. Done. Okay, now how do we get it to its final resting place?
So
Well,
you have
CartMate.
another problem. Yeah. So CartMate
Yeah,
solves the next problem.
right. And so it trickles down and trickles down. But here's the problem: you buy CartMate, it requires this hitch. We call it HitchMate. It goes on the front of the mower, and it's $150 to $250 investment. Well, now I'm looking at all my customers and they're like, well, I have to buy the hitch, and then once I don't use the CartMate, it does me no good. So that's when we developed the SnowMate, because I'm like, okay, I've got all this money in development of this hitch mate for the front. CartMate's selling extremely well. We sell thousands of them across the world. I mean, they go to Canada and all over the place. Um, you know, what's next? How can I fill sales gaps? How can I add more value to my customers? And the SnowMate was just the next logical thing. And to this day, volume of sales, not dollars, but just volume of product move. SnowMate is probably 3 to 4 times bigger of a volume seller than anything else I sell. It's the
Wow.
it's the it blows my mind, blows my mind. And guys buy them 3, 4, 8 at a time, and it just flies off the shelf. It's crazy, and it ships UPS, I think, too, because the way I designed it, it ships UPS, so you can order it right now on the website. It's 2:45 right now in the afternoon where I'm located, so it'll go into the system. And if it's ordered before 3 o'clock, it'll ship out the same day. We've got hundreds and hundreds of them on the shelf right now, and they're in production right now. And it'll ship to you in pretty much 2 to 4 days ship time, depending on where you're
Okay.
at in the country. And it shows up at your door, and you get back to your shop or wherever, and it's just sitting there. So there's no going to the dealer. There's no, you know,
How to work it, how to, yeah.
yeah, it's very, very simple. So I understand all those points, and that's what I try to build this cohesive, well thought out. It's not just a product. It's the experience, not having to go through freight and going picking it up and all this and that. I try as hard as I can to make these people that buy our products, I try to make it as easy and friendly as I possibly can.
Well, and even at Sync Live, which is coming up very soon, they're the business owners that I interviewed for the article are coming up from Florida to the event to support you because they were like, I want to be at this event. I want to tell people how I'm using the Mulchmate. So that, is kudos to you and your products and your support. That you have business owners that want to support you back. So I
Yeah.
think that
What's
that's a
cool?
great
Yeah. What's really cool about that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I really
no.
want to target on that, is that these guys literally, I had to basically force them to not pay their own way. I was like, look, the least I can do for you is pay for the hotel and take you out to like an incredibly nice dinner or something. And they were like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, okay, you guys are killing me. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've already got a hotel room set up. Don't spend the money. And they finally agreed. So that just
Oh,
goes to show
wow.
you just like the culture that we've built around this product. It's not just a product. It's not just a profit. It's a culture, and it's working. It's incredible.
Well, and I think it's because you've been in a business owner's shoes and you know, the struggles and the, like you said, what sucks.
Yeah,
So,
for real.
that really goes a long way to how you treat them. And it sounds like it's a team effort.
It really is. I drive home the customer experience, what words to say, not to say. Like I'll give you a great for instance. The first word I ever learned that started changing my mind when I was running the landscape business was when I spoke with my, potential clients, I would always tell them that I'll be at your home at this time, or we're going to do whatever service at your home or your estate or your property. I never used the word house, because house feels very not warm, not fuzzy, not
Ah,
that connection, right? And so we strive really hard in our marketing, our branding, our conversations we have, whether it's internally with each other or outside of our building, to create that cohesive, warm, you know, inviting feeling into the brand and into the culture. You'll see everywhere. I'll do team Mulchmate or team Dawson Manufacturing on hashtags and different things, and that's when people call me and they say, "Hey man, I just bought a Mulchmate from from one of your salespeople, blah 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 blah." because they give my number out. I always say, "Hey man, welcome to the team." And if we're at a trade show, I shake their hand. "Hey man, welcome to the team. If there's anything you need, here's my card, here's my number."
Oh,
And it's, I don't try to hide behind all my people. I try to lead from the front, and I try to, offer as much as I can. Here, you know what? Here, let's get really vulnerable. Anybody that's listening, this will prove to you how I operate. So in the last trade show I was just at, I had a customer come in, and he did not have the best experience picking up one of our trailers. It was a Mulchmate DMT trailer. He struggled with something. I can't remember everything. His overall taste and smell was pretty salty. And I said, I don't remember his name, but I said, "Sir, let's call him Jason." I said, "Jason, that is absolutely not what I'm looking to hear. I'm very, very sorry. Would you have 5 minutes to explain this to me, and then let me know what I can do to make it right?" And he looked at me like I had four heads. And he goes, "You're going to listen to me complain?" I was like, "All day long, dude. Lay it on me." And so a couple of the issues were self-induced on his part. One of them was Belmont, my trailer manufacturer, was just behind. Welcome to business. And this was a year or two ago. So this was during the height of, you know,
COVID
not being
crazy.
all the crazy, not being able to get parts and pieces. It was just a rough time. And I don't think he took that in consideration. And instead of me rubbing that in his face, I just said, "Sir, I get it. Sorry. Um, you know, what can I do?" And so he's like, treat me like I've never bought one of these machines and give me the rundown on it. I was like, "Sure, no problem." And so we did this right at the trade show in front of everybody. There's probably 30, 40 people around us watching. And I like when potential clients hear about this salty taste and then they watch how we handle it. Because what I believe is heroes are not born in great times. Heroes are born in bad times. And so
Yeah.
whenever I have a situation like this arise, it gives me the opportunity to show you the depth and the culture that we have and what we actually believe in, and the kind of heart that this company has. And so I went through this whole thing with Jason, got done, and he goes, "You know what? I bought your machine because I believed in your machine. First off, I want to tell you, now I believe in you and your whole entire culture of your company and how you handle yourself and how your team handles itself. But I didn't know half of what you just described to me in your Mulchmate. I had no clue it could do that much." And I said, whatever, I
Wow.
can't remember his name. His name, let's call it Jason. I said, "Jason, it's hard to describe all of what's the thought that's been put into this machine, and the back end stuff, like our free online training on our website. Just go to mulchmateusa.com. You guys listening right now, you can take my free online training test right now. It's free. It's in English and real Spanish. I've got you covered in every which way I can think of. I'm trying to cover everybody's bases, not just for myself, but for the people that invest their money into our products. So it's more than just a product to me. It's an experience. It's a family. It's a team, and that's how we run our business. That's how we run Dawson Manufacturing.
Well, I love your passion. And let's just go back to that laser cutting mower. Did you develop that yet? No?
So apparently, no, there was actually a patent on one.
Oh,
You think it's funny, but somebody did it and never brought it to market. So I just never
no.
did it.
Well, stay tuned because I think yeah, thank you for being an innovator in our industry and changing the game because we need people like you that understand the business doing this for our industry.
Thank you.
So, Nick, I always enjoy our chats. Great to met you in person just a few months ago, but we had talked before that. Great to know you and looking forward to seeing you at Sync Live. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks, Angelique. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for tuning in. If anybody has any questions, please reach out. I'm always there to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. See y'all later.
Bye.